Welcome to Magic Beyond the Books. Today we are talking about Bellatrix Lestrange, formerly Bellatrix Black. I'm Renee, and we have Jess back on the podcast today. Do you want to introduce yourself and share your wand?
Hey everyone, I'm Jess, and my wand is a vine wood with unicorn hair. It's 11 inches in length and slightly yielding.
Okay, that's cool. I think vine wood is the same as Hermione's wand, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes.
Do you feel like that wand fits you and your personality?
Yes, specifically because I saw on the website these two interesting facts about it. Wands with unicorn cores are generally the most difficult to turn to the dark arts. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then the slightly yielding, I didn't really know what that really meant, like the wand flexibility stuff, but it's the degree of adaptability and willingness to change possessed by the wand and owner pair. So it's kind of like whenever someone disarms me, you know how they can kind of take control of my wand. It's slightly yielding, so it's not as loyal. But then they were saying that because the vinewood kind of makes up for that. So I guess it is loyal because of vinewood. That's why it's only slightly yielding. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's like definitely I feel like all the different aspects of the wand like counterbalance with each other, so it's like you have to take them all into account. But yeah, I mean my wand is unbending, and I also looked up Bellatrix's wand since we're talking about her today, and I can tell you about that. But I feel like the flexibility of the wand also can reference like your adaptability like as a witch or wizard. So I feel like to me like you having a more flexible wand relates to you being more flexible and adaptable as a person, like more like things come, different spells coming your way and you being able to like roll with the punches better. I feel like makes sense for you.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Cool.
But yeah, but for reference, I mean, my wand is a hazelwood and mine's a dragon heartstring, which is the most likely to go to the darker side. And it's
Are we
3.
surprised?
Yeah, not a surprise. And it's 9 3/4 inches and unbending. Bellatrix Lestrange's wand is 12 3/4 inches long. So she has a long wand. It's walnut wood, dragon heartstring core, of course, and it's unyielding. So definitely like very strong.
Renee, I hate to tell you, abnormally short wands usually select those in whose character something is lacking.
Yes, I know. I know. Like not Bellatrix. I think Umbridge has a really short one, but my wand isn't that short. It's like it's not like 8 inches or less.
Hey, size doesn't matter, you know. It's what you can do with the wand.
Exactly. All right, well, let's get into we should say at the top, warning, there are Harry Potter spoilers in this episode, and there's going to also be some Harry Potter and the Cursed Child spoilers in this episode. So if you haven't read that, just your warning up front, even though I don't consider that canon plot for the record. But okay, so quick character summary for Bellatrix. Bellatrix Lestrange is a Death Eater and Voldemort's most obsessive servant. She spends the better part of the Harry Potter books in Azkaban, though she does escape in the mass breakout in book 5, and she spends the remainder of her time in the books basically killing multiple beloved characters. Her name is mentioned 199 times throughout the book, so definitely a lot. And she appears in movies 5, 6, 7, and 8. But before we get into Bellatrix, let's do our listener question of the week. So, listener question of the week. What are our top 3 most attractive men from the Harry Potter movies? Let's go like least attractive to most attractive. Did you order them, or they're just like...
Yeah, I did. Okay. You know I ordered them.
Okay, so let's go least to most, and let's like both say our least. Like we'll go together, like 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, you go first.
So I have Neville Longbottom, specifically, Matthew Lewis. And obviously I'm not talking about when they're children.
For the record, all of these people are older than us. Maybe we should say that.
Yeah, no. Matthew Lewis, like in the last movie specifically. But like after Harry Potter, he got very attractive. And he has been in multiple movies since then. I think I noticed it in Me Before You. Have you ever saw that movie? he played like the girlfriend or the boyfriend of the main character, and he was just very cute in that movie too. So I think Matthew Lewis, he's my number 3.
Okay. My number 3 might be like out there, but I'm gonna say Dean Thomas.
Dean Thomas is cute. Yeah. Well, I
Right?
almost put okay, this was my, I guess my 4th was what's his name? I don't know the actor's name, but it's the guy who played Cormac McLagan. No. Yes, yeah, Cormac.
Yes, he is. Even though he's supposed to play this like disgusting guy and like you don't like the character, he is cute. He's a cutie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dean Thomas, the actor's name is Alfred Enoch, and for the record, ladies, now he's 6'4". So.
Oh wow. Now was he like shorter in Harry Potter?
I feel like he was always on the taller side, but I mean, like, obviously he was like a kid, you know. I don't think he started out in movie 1 at 6'4".
Oh wow. He looks like he could play some sort of like prince. Does that sound weird?
Yeah, maybe he should be on like Bridgerton. I feel like he would be a good one.
Oh my god, I would love that. I would love that. Okay.
Okay, so that's both of our 3s. Let's go to 2.
Okay, my number 2 is young Tom Riddle, specifically the one in Chamber of Secrets. I looked this up. His name is Christian Coulson, but okay, he does not look that cute now. But whatever, he's like kind of older. But I found out such an interesting fact. I did not know if you know this. The younger Tom Riddle, so like when we're later on, and the little boy Tom Riddle that Dumbledore goes to see in the orphanage. Guess who that actor is? His name was Hero Fiennes Tiffin. He is Ralph Fiennes' nephew.
Yes, he's like one from I forget the movies. They're like
it's called After. Yes. I had no idea. I was like, wait, what? This is like little young Tom Riddle is in these like romantic movie series. That blew my mind. I just like saw that and I was like, oh my god, I had no idea that one, he was related to Ralph Fiennes, Ralph Fiennes, however you say his name.
Yeah.
And 2, that he's now this grown to be in these movies and to be these like, he's in a bunch of like romantic movies. Like he's
yes,
like
as like the male lead. Yeah. He looks a lot different, I feel like, from like the kid. It's so weird that Tom Riddle gets played by like so many different people throughout the different movies.
Yeah.
Okay, I had him, specifically the Chamber of Secrets one. He is my number 1. So
okay.
Yeah. I think he just like, he has like the classically like handsome look, like old time, like his hair is kind of wavy, whatever. Yeah. My number 2 was Oliver Wood or Sean Biggerstaff.
Oh my god. I can't. I really regret now putting Neville there. I would put him as my number 3. I kind of forgot about him. But I know we've talked about how attractive Oliver Wood is.
Yeah.
I like the book version of Oliver Wood better, but he is pretty cute in the movies too. He's more like baby cute in the movies. But yeah, in the books he just sounds hot.
Okay, who's your number 1?
I think comes as no surprise. Cedric Diggory. My boy Robert Pattinson. Oh my god, I'm just in love with him in many different contexts, but this one especially.
Yes, and we talked about him before and him being cuter as Cedric Diggory than as Edward Cullen, and then I put up a poll on our Instagram, and the general public agrees that he's cuter as Cedric Diggory than he is 100%. As Edward Cullen.
Yeah, I agree.
I put him as an honorable mention, and I also had a Victor Crumb as an honorable mention. I don't know how to say his name, Stanislav Yanevsky.
Just don't even try.
And other honorable mention for me are James and Oliver Phelps, the Weasley twins. The red hair doesn't do it for me, but I think in real life more they're cutie patooties over there.
I agree.
All right, so Bellatrix Lestrange, I think maybe we start briefly by just touching on her family tree to kind of get where she like comes from. And the Black family is really connected to everyone. Like the Longbottoms are related to the Blacks, the Malfoys, pretty much every like pureblood family.
Yeah. There's
the
even
Weasleys.
Like, it says Potter in here. Charles Potter.
Yeah. I just noticed that too.
And the Pruitts, which are Molly.
Molly Weasley's family, yeah. So Bellatrix is the child of Cygnus and Druella, or Cygnus Black and Druella Rosier, which Rosier is another one that comes up as a Death Eater name. So like that must be her cousins or whoever. And Bellatrix is the firstborn of the three sisters. So it's Bellatrix, then Andromeda, who she ends up being Andromeda Tonks, and that's Nymphadora Tonks's mom. And then you have Narcissa Malfoy is the youngest of the three sisters. So those three sisters are all cousins of Sirius and Regulus, which I think is interesting. I mean, that makes her the cousin of Sirius. That also makes her the aunt of Draco Malfoy, which kind of comes up more, I think, in the books. Like it seems like she kind of like mentors Draco a little bit or like helps him out, which makes sense in her role like as his aunt. And she does seem super close with Narcissa. Like she calls Narcissa Sissy, which I don't think we see anyone else call her, any form of nickname.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was too, like, looking at this family tree. So we know Andromeda, she was burned off the tapestry. And it's interesting because this family tree that we're looking at gives, like, specific reasons why people are burned off. And for her, it says married Muggle-born Ted Tonks, which we knew. Because of Nymphadora, like we know that she is also, like, she calls Bellatrix her aunt throughout the movies and stuff in the books, so we know that they were related, and this is how. Specifically, I thought what was interesting is, like, when you go back to the earlier ones, like Iola Black, she was disowned because she married Muggle Bob Hitchens. So there are a few members even way, way, way back in, like, the 1800s who were marrying Muggles, supported Muggle rights. That was Phineas. And then I thought this one was very interesting. Marius Black was a squib. So I thought that was so sad that, like, people would just basically, like, a pureblood family would just disown a squib from their family. And I was, like, wondering if they just, like, kicked them out or, like, I just thought that was really sad.
Maybe because she can hang out with the Hitchens family.
Yeah. And then we do have one in here, Cedrella Black. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but married blood traitor Septimus Weasley. So there's also some relation to the Weasleys in this family tree, which makes sense because they're also a pure blood family. But I thought that was interesting that we have so many families intertwined in this family tree. So technically, like, Ron and Harry are like cousins or something by marriage.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. Like, all of them are related.
It's very
like
ancestral, which we knew because of, like, pure blood things, but it's interesting.
Yeah, which I think maybe goes to explain some of Bellatrix's behavior. Like, I don't, like, is there some incest there where there's literally, like, is she, like, mentally unwell? I don't know.
No, I think she's just cuckoo.
She's just cuckoo. She's just plain old cuckoo. Okay, so let's get into Bellatrix's timeline. We'll kind of breeze through. She was born 1951 to the Black family, which is, of course, the pureblood family we were discussing. And she started at Hogwarts sometime around 1962 or 63 and was sorted into Slytherin, obviously. And I don't think we know too much about her time at Hogwarts, but she did graduate and join the Death Eaters, supposedly, or at some point. And after Voldemort fell, so Voldemort, was like semi-killed, whatever you want to call it, when he interacts with baby Harry. That's October 31st, 1981. Bellatrix and her husband, Rodolphus, and her brother-in-law, or Rodolphus' brother, Rabastin, and Barty Crouch Jr. are all part of that crew that was brought in for torturing Frank and Alice Longbottom, which is Neville's parents. And they were basically sentenced to life in Azkaban, which turns out to not be for life for all of them because they all get out. But for like timeline's sake for Bellatrix, so that would have happened she was probably around 30, I think, if I did the math right, when she gets sentenced to life in Azkaban. And then when she gets out, that's in 1996. She's about 45, and I don't know exactly when her birthday is, so like somewhere around there. And Harry sees like the flashback and the pensive of her getting sentenced, but the first time that he actually like comes face to face with her is when they battle the Death Eaters in the end of the 5th book. And that's when she also kills Sirius Black, her cousin.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
And
she looks kind of good for a 45-year-old who like broke out of prison and was in prison for many years, getting her like soul sucked out. So I was
yeah,
baddie.
Yeah, the movies definitely make her look a little bit maybe too good. Maybe Helena Bonham Carter is like
she's just too attractive.
Yeah, she's just too pretty for this role. But I think she's supposed to be like, I think they say that she's supposed to be attractive. She's supposed to be a pretty woman, but definitely like her good looks aren't supposed to be as strong after she gets out of prison. But you know, Helena's good looks are just staying strong when we see her in the movies. Sometime should we just talk about this now or maybe later? But at some point post breakout, but pre her death, she supposedly has a child with Voldemort. Okay, so
this was in Cursed Child, and was this like actually mentioned? Because I read that book one time, absolutely hated it. So sorry for the Cursed Child lovers out there, but I cannot stand that this is like a canon sequel book, and I just do not agree with it. Like, I don't like the whole plot. I don't like it at all. So I kind of like blacked it out of my memory. But this character is in the book, right?
Yes. So first of all, I'll say I totally agree with you. And people who are Cursed Child fans, like, please come forward and tell me why you like it. I need to know. I don't know if I know anyone who actually likes it. But the canon of that story, so I literally had to like refresh my memory too, because it's been forever since I've read it. I should do like a reread and do an episode about that. But basically, let me go to my notes. So the canon of that story, so that takes place 19 years after the Battle of Hogwarts. So it picks up supposedly like where the epilogue leaves off at the end of the like actual books, right? Albus Potter, which is Harry's youngest son, and Scorpius Malfoy, which is Draco's son, they become friends. They obtain a time turner and they start doing this like traveling back in time, which I don't like the time travel stories either. I've said that before on the podcast. So
because we have learned to be so careful with time travel, and then it's just like, okay, we can just do it whenever we want. Like,
yes. And then also their whole mission of time travel is they're going to prevent the death of Cedric Diggory, which I guess they're saying is like, I guess they're doing that because that's supposed to be like the trigger to all these other deaths and things that happen. But I'm kind of like, this is a big thing to change. And also Cedric Diggory seems kind of random. Like lots of people were killed even before him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know, you have Albus. Like, Albus isn't going to try to go back in time and save, like, his grandparents, like James and Lily, or, like, any other Order members that got killed.
It's just funny. It's like, guys, take it a step further and let's just, like, kill Voldemort and, like, prevent all of this from happening. Like,
yes!
But I guess they are, like, children, right? They're in Hogwarts, so
yes!
they're stupid. They just don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, so going along with that, this character Delphi, or Delphi, however you say it, Delphi manipulates these boys, and I think she tries to make it seem like she's part of the Diggory family, but lo and behold, she announces that she was born in Malfoy Manor before the Battle of Hogwarts, and she is Bellatrix and Voldemort's, like, love child, and her whole, like, she's trying to manipulate the boys to use a time turner to actually, like, bring back Voldemort, I guess. Yeah, that's basically the story. So, again, like, I don't agree with the story, but if we're gonna say that Delphi is a real character, then she would have to have been born sometime between book 5 and book 7 of Harry Potter, right? Because Bellatrix and Voldemort die in the Battle of Hogwarts. So if they have a child, like if she conceives a child and births a child and all the things, this would have had to happen before she dies, right? Like I mean, unless
we're missing a whole pregnancy. That's my thing, is like, someone would have noticed she was pregnant or said she was pregnant. That's why, to me, it's just so unbelievable that this is like canon. And I did just double check, like, J.K. Rowling partially wrote this book. There were 2 more writers on this, but it's just like, how did she okay this? I just feel like it's such like bad writing, and like, I don't know. I just disagree with the whole thing.
The whole thing seems so out of character for like so many of the characters. And I literally was trying to understand this. I'm like, okay, let's just like say that this is part of it. I'm like trying to do the math. I'm like, how did she fit in a whole pregnancy without anyone knowing? So like it has to be post her breakout, but they see her at the end of book 5 and there's no signs of pregnancy or anything. So I'm thinking it had to have happened sometime
during like
between
Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah, like I think it happened like because we see her at the very beginning of Half-Blood Prince. She goes to Snape's house, and again, no like signs of pregnancy. And when she goes to Snape's house, this is a direct quote from her. She says, "If I had sons, I would be glad to give them up in service of the Dark Lord." She's talking about Narcissa with whole like Draco thing. I know that this is people might take that and be like, "Well, she has a daughter." She's talking about sons, but this is the type of shit that people say that don't have kids. That's what I'm gonna say. Like, like it. Once you have kids, like you think you knew love before you had a kid. Like you have no idea. So I just feel like this quote from her to me is evidence that she doesn't have any kids yet. Because once you have kids, you wouldn't sacrifice them for anyone, even an infatuation with. Yeah. So I think she had them sometime in books because we don't see her in book 6. We don't see her until the chase at the beginning of book 7. And she's not in the movies. They have her at the tower when Dumbledore gets killed, but she's not there in the books. So I think it would. That's the one thing I guess that like would, if she was pregnant or just had a baby or something around that time, that would make sense why she like wouldn't participate in that. Because why wouldn't Draco bring her to Hogwarts? When he does the whole vanishing cabinet.
She was not there in the books? I do not remember that. I thought she was there.
Yeah, she's not there.
Huh. Maybe she was pushing out Delphi.
That's what I'm guessing. But still, all of this, going back to what you said, they were at Malfoy Manor. That's where all the Death Eater meetings are happening. Everyone's going to Malfoy Manor, like in and out of there. That's like their home base. So everyone would know that she was pregnant, like all the other Death Eaters. How would she hide this from her husband?
Which we haven't even gotten to that. But also let's just move on. Okay. Because I really can't. I could just talk about this all day about how, well, even, okay, so it's like, if you're going to make the argument of she was pregnant and maybe it was they weren't actively, people were getting scared of Death Eaters being back and all of this stuff, but we weren't actively seeing people until everybody knew Voldemort was back. Oh wait, but that happened at the end of book 5.
Yeah, and we see her at the end of book 5. Yeah.
So yeah, there's no way, because I was gonna say maybe it's while the Death Eaters were moving in secret, she had a baby. But it's she's out there she's recruiting. Things are going on. Voldemort is back. We have stuff to do. I just don't, it's so unbelievable. So that's where I'll end on this subject.
Yeah, I think with doing the math, I just don't see how this got worked out in this short window of time when she's actively doing Death Eater stuff. I'm not trying to say that as you're pregnant, you can't do anything, but I feel you're much more wary of getting hurt when you're pregnant. I don't know. It's just all of her actions and everything that's going on, it just doesn't add up for me. So,
and I feel it's such big news that it would be everybody would be talking about it, of not just that Bellatrix pregnant, that this is Voldemort's baby. That would be huge news, right?
Yeah.
Not to even mention how Voldemort is doesn't even care about her. Can we address that? How he's what do we really think that Voldemort got jiggy with Bellatrix Lestrange? I just can't even see it for real happening. I know she was obsessed with him, but he was so obsessed with not having muggles around. So it's I just don't see how he has any sort of libido. I don't know. It's just I feel like he's asexual.
I do too. I really, genuinely, I can't imagine him getting jiggy with anyone.
Yeah.
If we're using that term.
You know?
And it's also like someone who's obsessed with being immortal would have no interest in having heirs. Like, why does he need children if he thinks that he's going to be there forever? Like, he doesn't need someone to live on his legacy. He's trying to live his legacy.
Yeah. And like knowing him, he would like, you're not performing right, and like kill his baby. You know what I mean? I don't think he has the patience for a child.
I don't either. So I just want to address that as far as her timeline, that this is where she would have had to have conceived and had a child, if you believe that's part of the story, which both of us cannot accept as part of the story, basically.
I like how I was like, let's stop talking about this, and then we were like still talking about it like 10 minutes later. Okay.
But yeah, so moving past that, like I mentioned before, so book 6, July 1996, her and Bellatrix and Narcissa go and visit Severus's house, and and this isn't so much in the movies, but in the books, she basically interrogates him about being a double agent and says that she doesn't believe that he's on their side. And she's the one that, performs the unbreakable vow spell with Narcissa and Snape, where Snape promises to protect Draco. And then sometime after that, she must have taught Draco occlumency and been like teaching Draco like the Death Eater ways as they're going through this. And then at the beginning of book 7, she's involved in that chase to hunt down Harry Potter. Her and her husband Rodolphus pursue Tonks and Ron, and she really tries really hard to kill Tonks, but isn't able to, and her husband gets injured. And then sometime after that, she must have been given the copy of Godric Gryffindor's sword, which she puts in her Gringotts vault, not knowing that it was a fake. And then later, she's involved in the fight at Malfoy Manor. That's when she tortures Hermione and kills Dobby. That's in like 1998. And then she fights in the Battle of Hogwarts, where she's successful in killing Tonks. And then she ends up, well, I guess I should say she's there when Voldemort kills Harry in the forest. And then, of course, she ends up dying. That's May 2nd, 1998. So she would have been 47 years old. She gets killed by Molly, and that's the end of her timeline.
Not my daughter, you bitch.
Yeah, I think that's like the best line of the whole books.
I remember watching that in the movie theater, like when it came out, like everybody goes to the first showing of it. Mm-hmm. And the entire theater like erupted at that point.
Oh, it's such a good moment. But speaking of quotes and moments, do you have a favorite quote or moment or both for Bellatrix from the books?
You ready for it? Because I'm going to be doing an imitation.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm ready.
I killed Sirius Black. I killed Sirius Black. You're coming to get me. So that's my favorite quote. I just think like anytime I think of Bellatrix, that's like what goes off in my brain. Which Helena Bonham Carter, thank you. I think she played a great Bellatrix. We didn't address that at all, but I think she was very good for the movies.
She was very good. She makes her, I feel like the movies is a little bit different than the books. Like she makes her more like wild and
like
crazy.
That's
like
what
chaotic.
I think is, yeah. And I think I like that addition. I wasn't upset by it.
Yeah, it makes her much more like scary in the sense of like she just seems so chaotic and crazy that you're like, I don't know what she's going to do next. Mm-hmm. I think in the book she's a little bit more like cruel and like insane in the sense of more like she's like cruel and calculated and like just madly in love with Voldemort to the point where she would like do anything. So that's like what makes her scary. But I think from the same scene, I think this is where we get like her best like lines. That's that part. So she kills Sirius and then Harry's chasing after her to try to like avenge Sirius or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she says a lot of like good stuff here. I liked her. This was I thought a very interesting line where she talks about unforgivable curses. And this actually like teaches Harry for later about these. She says to him, "Never use an unforgivable curse before, have you, boy?" And then, "You need to mean them, Potter. You really need to want to cause pain, to enjoy it. Righteous anger won't hurt me for long. I'll show you how it's done, shall I? I'll give you a lesson." I just thought this was so interesting. Like, one, Harry learns from this and then later does like Cruciatus curse on one of the Caros and like uses this as a reference. But two, it's very interesting that like, because she obviously does them a lot, it's like she means to cause people pain. Like she enjoys it. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's interesting because that is in the books. In the movies, it's Voldemort who kind of is the one to tell this to Harry in the scene where they're at the Ministry. And it was Harry trying to use an unforgivable curse on Bellatrix, and then Voldemort's the one that's saying, like, you have to mean it, Harry. Like, it's not going to work if you're not, like, putting some anger into it. So I think it's interesting how they changed that in the movies to be, it's using against Bellatrix in that case.
Yeah. I guess it like makes sense because Bellatrix does say that everything she learned from Voldemort. So it's like they're kind of like one and the same. Because she later, even in the same scene in the book, she says, "I was and am the Dark Lord's most loyal servant. I learned the dark arts from him. I know spells of such power that you, pathetic little boy, can never hope to compete." So it's just interesting. Like, I really want to know the backstory. Like, where was like Voldemort like teaching her all of this stuff that she knows? Like, how young was she when she started like following his lead? Because she went to prison at 30, so she was like in her 20s, learning these like terrible, terrible spells from Voldemort. It's crazy. So let's get into theories about Bellatrix. I think this is where we'll probably spend a lot of time because there's just like so many theories about her and so many questions that I have and everyone else has. So let's just go through them in no particular order. The first one, Harry reacts strongly to Bellatrix because Voldemort's Horcrux is inside of him.
React strongly and like in what way? Like I don't get this quite. Like
I think they're saying like there's in the books there's a lot of like little mentions of like when he sees the 10 Death Eaters, he like focuses most on her face, or like her face is like the face that I think Harry associates with like the Death Eaters more than maybe some of the others. I think that's where they're getting it from, or like saying that like he like feels passionately angry at her, which maybe is a confusion of like passionate like adoration from her from the Horcrux or something like that.
Interesting.
What are your thoughts?
It's a reach. I don't really agree with this theory. That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
Book close. Case end. Next.
I think that Harry's thoughts and feelings are his own throughout all of the books, because he seems to differentiate when he's feeling like a Voldemort feeling versus a him feeling. So I think that the only reason he reacts strongly to her is because she's freaking terrifying. She tortured his classmates' parents into insanity, and he like had to meet them and everything. So I think he's just freaked out by her because she literally is terrifying.
Yeah, that's true. I get it.
No further comments.
No further comments on this. I don't really think it's real. I can't really get into theories that I'm like, you're kind of reaching.
Yeah, like there's not too much to support that. Yeah. The next theory is that Bellatrix, Andromeda, and Narcissa, so the three black sisters, are the Fountain of Fair Fortune witches from the Tales of Beedle the Bard. Do you know this story?
No, that's what I was going to ask, because I do think that's interesting. I could be into this theory, so give me some context.
Okay. So the Tales of Beedle the Bard are like, it's like Aesop's fables, like it's a bunch of like fairy tales. And so like the tale of the three brothers, you know how people say that the tale of the three brothers is like supposed to be like Snape, Voldemort, and Harry, or like some like they're supposed to be the three brothers or some parallel to that?
I thought it was the Peverils.
It is the Peverils, but they're saying like, I guess there's like parallels because like Snape was in love with someone who died, and then like Voldemort was obsessed with power. Like,
and then Harry was the invisible one.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I never heard that theory. I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So I think they're trying to like do the same thing kind of with this one. But so first of all, I'll lay out the tale. So the tale is that these three witches, they're not supposed to be sisters, like unrelated. So their names are Asha, Althea, and Amada. Asha was sick. She had some sort of malady that like no healer could cure. Althea was robbed of her home and golden wand, so she's like poor and powerless. And then Amada is the third witch, and she was heartbroken, like her lover left her, whatever. So these three witches meet up every year. There's this fountain of fair fortune, and these gates open up, and poor unfortunate soul people go to try to have their problems solved by the fountain of fair fortune. Apparently, if you bathe in it, you come out, you'll have like a life of good fortune for the rest of your life. So these three witches line up along with everyone else. And then I guess the vines, like the gates open and the vines grab some of them. And the three witches get pulled in along with this other knight named Sir Luckless, who's like this muggle. Okay. So those four go, and you don't like just walk straight to the fountain. There's like a whole journey. So as they're going, they're hitting these different obstacles and working through the obstacles. And one of the obstacles is that they can't cross the stream, and they like, so the girl that was like heartbroken, that's Amada. Amada takes her memories from her like lover or whatever and puts them in the stream, and then the stream lets them by. And then there's like, you know, you have to sweat to get past another obstacle, yada yada. So they get past these obstacles, and then they finally reach the fountain. And when they get to the fountain, or when they're getting like close to the fountain, Althea, the one that's poor, she grabs some herbs and some water from the knight, and she gives them to Asha, who's the one that has the disease, and then she ends up being cured. So Asha becomes cured from this disease magically, and she says, okay, I don't need to go in the fountain, I'm cured. And then Althea, the poor one, says, I don't need to go in the fountain because I've now like created this potion that cures disease. Like I can make money off of that. Like I'm good now. And then Amada, who had given up her memories to the stream of her lover, she realized now that he was just cruel to her and she's better off without him. And she goes, I'm not heartbroken anymore. I don't need to bathe. So Sir Luckless, you should go and bathe in the fountain. So then Sir Luckless goes in the fountain, comes back out, and then he realizes he's in love with Amada, the heartbroken one, and then he proposes to her, and they're like going to be together now. So the four of them all leave happy, not realizing that the fountain of fair fortune doesn't actually do anything. Like they solved their own problems kind of on their own, is what the lesson is, I guess. So that's the tale. So then what I guess people are saying is these three witches are supposed to be Bellatrix, Andromeda, and Narcissa, but I'm not really sure like how they're those people.
Are any of them sick? Is my first question.
So.
Is Andromeda? No, I know someone was sick, wasn't it?
Narcissa, I would think maybe it could be the sick one in the sense of like
sick in the head.
I don't know. I mean, or maybe Bellatrix is the sick one. Like she's literally like mentally unwell. And then Narcissa ends up like loaning her wand to her son, and like her son almost dies, so she's like sad by that. And I guess you could say Andromeda is like the Amada who ends up with Sir Luckless because she like marries a Muggle born.
Okay. Yeah, again, this is reaching, but I did like the Fountain of Fair Fortune tale. Like that was cool. I need to read more tales of Beetle the Bard.
Yeah, I think it's a good tale, but I don't think there's enough like similarities between the two pairs of three, other than the fact that it's just like a pair of three sisters, or like they're not a group of three sisters with a group of three witches.
Yeah, like I feel like I was waiting for it to be like, and they were evil, or like their greed like took something away from them or something like that, but it's kind of like a happy story, and it doesn't really fit with the three sisters. I just don't really see the parallels, but maybe I need to just do more research on that.
Yeah, and they also don't really have like a happy ending. Like Bellatrix gets killed, Andromeda doesn't. Andromeda lives, but like her whole family gets killed. Like her daughter gets killed, her husband gets killed, and then like Narcissa does get away unscathed, kind of, but like, she obviously like went through a lot, and so did
Like
like
her house became like a freaking graveyard. And then she like lied to the Dark Lord and then had to grab her son and like take him away. So
yeah. So I don't know. I don't. I think we're saying maybe not for that theory.
yeah, no.
Oh,
Next.
next theory. So Bellatrix and the other Death Eaters tortured the Longbottoms to ascertain Harry Potter's whereabouts.
How is this a theory? I thought this is like legit what happened.
When I went back, because I was thinking that too, I was like, what happened? I went back to like the pensive where Harry sees the court case, and they say that they tortured them to find out the whereabouts of Voldemort after he fell, not Harry. But I'm like, they could have just thrown the question of where's Harry in there with the other tortures. So I'm like, yeah, I guess, sure.
I'm like pretty sure, guys, this is like what it is about, but okay. Because like she would probably want to know where Harry is so she could kill him because of the Dark Lord stuff. So
yeah, I would think that they're asking about both. They're asking
and
where.
like, why would the Longbottoms know where Voldemort is?
I think that too. Like, or maybe the Ministry thinks that they were asking about Voldemort, but they were really asking about Harry. Because if Frank Longbottom knows where Voldemort is, why wouldn't he just be killing him? Like he's an horror. Like, okay. The next theory is that Bellatrix did not actually join the Death Eaters until after her escape from Azkaban. And the support for this theory is, so remember you and I covered the Voldemort's return part with all the Death Eaters and their little kumbaya circle. So when they make that circle, they say, Harry says, oh, there's like about space for two people next to Lucius. So, and Voldemort says, oh, that's like the Lestranges. But there's three Lestranges that go to prison: Rabaston, Rodolphus, and Bellatrix. So people are saying, I guess, that they're saying the two brothers were Death Eaters, but Bellatrix was not, because there wasn't like space for her. But I don't know. I think like...
But my whole thing is, why would she have been even going to associating with these people if she wasn't a Death Eater? Like, her whole reason for going to Azkaban was because she fully... Well, there's even a whole thing about this. Like, she fully admitted she, like, never waived loyalty to Voldemort. And that's why she goes to Azkaban, is because she, like, totally... Or she went to Azkaban because she tortured Neville and Alice. Neville's parents.
Yeah, Frank and Alice. She was brought in for that reason. But then, yeah, when she sit in her trial, I wrote down the quote. In her trial, she sat there and she said, "The Dark Lord will rise again, Crouch. Throw us into Azkaban. We will wait. He will rise again and come for us. He will reward us beyond any of his other supporters. Yeah. We alone were faithful. We alone tried to find him."
So she is like a very loyal Death Eater. She also has the tattoo.
Yeah.
Are people like dumb?
I think they're saying she got the tattoo like after she got out of Azkaban, because I don't know agree. If we like get confirmed that she does, but I don't know. I think she's like very faithful, and I'm also like, okay, if you look at a gap between people, you're telling me that you can tell if there's supposed to be two people or three people in that gap? Like, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like it's a bit. And
what if Rodolphus was like small? And also, it's like, why don't we question the other people? Because I feel like Bellatrix is the most, like, I don't know anything about the third one you're saying. What is his name?
Rabaston.
I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, we don't know. I feel like that's my argument is we don't really know that much about Rodolphus or Rabaston, the brothers, other than like that, one's married to Bellatrix and one's the brother-in-law. So like, we don't know if one of them joined later or was just along for it. Like, let's say Rodolphus and Bellatrix were going to torture the Longbottoms, and then like his brother came along with them, even though he wasn't a Death Eater or something, like, I don't know. So I feel like she's always been a Death Eater, or in the fact that also she says that Voldemort was training her and teaching her about the dark arts. Like, I don't think you would go through that effort for someone that hasn't pledged their loyalty to him.
Yeah, and like, I'm pretty sure you can't even get close to Voldemort unless you're a Death Eater. Like, he would just kill you, or like be like, "What are you doing here?" You know what I mean? Like, what is he going to be doing? Like, teaching this lady who's not a Death Eater his dark magic.
Yeah, like I think that's a stretch.
Yeah, I agree.
So, okay, so next theory is that Bellatrix and this is like a multi-part theory and like multiple theories, but it's all about Bellatrix and Rodolphus and their love. So, did they not marry for love, and maybe they just married to continue the pure blood line? And then they also like didn't have children, so did they not choose not to have children so that they could dedicate their time to supporting Voldemort? And then there's another theory that Delphi is not the child of Voldemort, but it's actually Delphi is just Rodolphus and Bellatrix's daughter, but was told that she was the child of Voldemort to like bring him to be motivated to bring him back.
Interesting.
So a lot of theories are surrounding the like love or not love between Bellatrix and Rodolphus and like what was going on in their marriage and their childbearing.
Yeah. To be quite honest, I do not remember a lot about Rodolphus at all. Like, I don't remember him being mentioned as much in the books. And then in the movies, he's like non-existent.
Yeah, in the movies, I think he's there like unnamed. Like he'll be like some guy sitting next to her and like we don't know that it's Rodolphus, right? In the books, he's not really talked about other than it's just like he's just like mentioned. Like he's there at the Battle of the Ministry. He's there when they're chasing Harry on the brooms, but it's not so much like you don't really get like much about him. He's just kind of always there and around, but not really like, oh, Rodolphus said this. Like he's very quiet apparently.
Yeah. I just looked it up I just looked up like Rodolphus Lestrange. And it's just some random man that's sitting at the table, I believe, is where the scene is from.
Okay.
So I don't even think the fan base knows who he is.
Who he is. I think here's my overall. First of all, I don't really like the theory of the cursed child. I don't think that's like real. So I don't like put that as part of canon as far as them having a kid. You know, they've been in prison for like 15 years. So, and they were in prison when they're in like their 30s. So it's conceivable that they just like didn't have a kid because the timing just didn't work out. Right. And I just think we just don't know about their marriage. Like, who's to say that they're not madly in love? We're just not getting scenes between them. And when they're together doing Death Eater things, it's not like they're going to be like making out. I mean, Lucius and Narcissa aren't showing affection for each other when they're like doing, like they're not really, we're not getting a lot of proof that they're in love or most any other couples other than the fact that they're married. So I think there might be more there. And then her love for Voldemort is more of like an obsessive like fan. But I think it also could be true that she just felt obligated because their family is very much about like, continuing the pure bloodline. So it could be that like her and Rodolphus is kind of like an arranged marriage. Like they were just always going to be married.
That's I think as well as like I do believe they were married to continue the pure bloodline, but their obsession with Voldemort made that they didn't have time to be having babies.
Yeah. Okay. And then the next theory or last theory on our list is, was Bellatrix actually insane? Was she impacted by the incest of her family line? Was she under a love potion from Voldemort? Like, what was going on in that girl's head?
Well, that I agree. I feel like she was insane. She could have been impacted by incest in her family line. The love potion from Voldemort is again what has me very questioned. Like I question that a lot because what just like we know that Voldemort has an end game reason for everything. So like what would be his end game for giving her a love potion? Would it be to create an heir? Would it be to make sure she was obsessed, but he has all these other followers without love potions? So it's like, why would he feel the need to do that? So that's what I don't really get where that's coming from.
Yeah, he has coercion. He has like respect from people that make them follow him. So I don't think he has a need for a love potion. And he always discounts love. So why would he think that would be like we never show him using that on anyone else or like
Yeah, you make such a good point of like the whole thing is he cannot love, and that is his major flaw. That's like in the end what gets him killed is that has the inability to feel empathy and love. So it's just funny that it's like people are like, "Oh yeah, love. He used a love potion. Him and Bellatrix were really in love and like had a baby." It's like that's literally what he hates the most. So
Yeah.
next.
Yeah, to address my opinion on the insanity part, I I feel like she has to be affected a little bit by the incest thing, like to some level,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I think I don't want people to think that I agree with any of Bellatrix's actions, but I almost think she wasn't insane. Like there's a rationale for like all of her decisions. Like she does this stuff, she everything she does she seems to do for a reason, and I don't think it's random. And like she believes that Voldemort is like the Messiah, and she's
Mhm.
doing all of these things in this following. So I think it's insane to think that about Voldemort, but like I don't think she doesn't exhibit the behaviors of someone who's just like chaotically doing random stuff, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't think she's crazy in that sense. I think she's very deliberate and cruel and does like what she does because she believes that this is like what she should be doing. And I think that
Mhm.
part of that is also not just like her blood, but like we were talking about before, like if you're a squib, you're out of the family. If you do anything, like if you marry a pure blood but they're a blood traitor, you're out of the family. Like they are crazy. So this belief system is like from generations and generations that has been like indoctrined, how do you say it, like it's
Yeah.
been pushed to her since childhood, since birth, and all of her siblings and everyone in her family, everyone that she knows. So it's like I think she's following this belief that she believes is like the right way. As
Mhm.
crazy as it is.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's because her family is so dark and like into the dark arts that that is just what she's been raised to believe and like how she's lived her entire life. I mean, also she was in Slytherin, like you have to think like it is ingrained in her character. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, that's true too. Like all of her friends in Slytherin would have like also promoted this. It's like not just
Mhm.
her family, it's like everyone she surrounds herself with.
Mhm. Yeah.
So this is kind of random. I'm just gonna put this here. It doesn't like fit anywhere, but I did want to mention the like etymology of her name because I always think that's interesting.
Mm.
So Bellatrix is of Latin origin. It means female warrior.
Mm.
And that's the name of the third brightest star in the constellation Orion, which Orion is also like a warrior figure, which I think makes sense. She's like a warrior, a soldier, a general of like
Mhm.
the Death Eaters.
Yeah.
And pretty much all of the Black family, I think, has like all of their names are either like stars or constellations, or like Orion is the name of Sirius's dad, and Sirius is a star, and like
Mhm.
Draco, and like so all these names are like
I feel like pureblood families do that a lot because also with like Draco and then Scorpius, those are like constellations as well. Or stars. I think Draco is I don't know what. I know
star or
Scorpius for sure is
constellation.
yeah.
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 Which makes sense because it's like they think that they're so grand and like
Mhm.
above this world kind of
Yep.
thing.
Yeah.
And then Lestrange is obviously her married name, but that's of French origin. And the definitions I got for that were like the strange or like the odd one, which I think again kind of goes into her character of being like wild and
Crazy,
crazy.
yeah.
And yeah. So yeah, just putting that in there because I thought that
That's
was
cool.
interesting. Should we get into fan casting?
Yes.
So first, let's talk about. So we mentioned this before. Her movie depiction. She's played by Helena Bonham Carter, and which HBC is. She was in her early mid 40s when she played the role. So she tracks like she's the appropriate age for the character based on the books. But the only thing that's weird about this is in the movies, all the characters that are like the Marauders and Snape and like that age group, they're supposed to be younger than her, but because they were like aged up for the movies, they're actually older than her. So it makes it like she's younger than like Snape and James Potter and Sirius. But in reality, it's like it's reversed. Like she's supposed to be older than them.
Yeah.
And if you're not familiar with I always like to mention people's other roles if they want to know like where else to find them or where you might know her from. She's in Sweeney Todd, Fight Club, The King's Speech, those Enola Holmes movies. I mean, she's been in so many things. Basically every Tim Burton movie you can watch.
Yeah.
But what is also interesting is, you know, the actress that played Narcissa Malfoy was originally supposed to be Bellatrix.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, her name is Helen McCrory. She was set to play Bellatrix, but then she, I guess, got pregnant. So then she opted out, and then Helena Bonham Carter played Bellatrix. But then she ended up getting pregnant at the end of filming the 5th movie. So apparently that's why she's like in looser clothing. Like she starts out with like these corsets, you know, and then later I think they have her like in some looser stuff, which I guess is because of her pregnancy.
Interesting.
Something else that I found, fun fact from the movies, is in the 5th movie, Helena, who's playing Bellatrix, she improvised sticking her wand in Neville's or Matthew Lewis's ear during that scene when they're like in the ministry, and he kind of like leaned into it too. And it actually like made a perforation in his eardrum, and like he had internal bleeding for 3 days. I think his ear is okay now, but she felt so bad. And I think he was like, he didn't want to tell her that it actually like caused like some damage in his ear.
Yikes.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's stuff about the movies. The books. Okay, so let's go to her description from the books. She's described as a tall, dark woman, dark as her sister was fair. Like lots of like dark, like long dark hair, shining dark hair, sleek, thick, like shining dark hair, lots of like that pre-Azkaban. And then after Azkaban, they talk about her hair being like unkempt, straggly, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of comments about her eyes being like heavily hooded eyes, heavily lidded eyes. And then thin mouth, strong jaw. They talk about her having like this haughty, arrogant look, like disdainful look. They talk about when she's like sitting on a chair, so she sits on it like it's a throne, like just very like arrogant air about her. And after Azkaban, obviously her looks change a lot. She has this gaunt, skull-like face post Azkaban, and they say like she was more good looking before Azkaban. And as I mentioned before, as far as age reference, she was around 30 when she was sent to Azkaban. So like in the flashback, she should be around 30. And then when after she's sentenced and she comes out, and like as we know her, she should be like 45 to 50, like in her like 40s. When we like see her books 5 through 7.
So I'm kind of between my 1 and 2. Like, I don't know who would do this better. They're kind of on equal planes to me.
Okay.
So my number 1 was Cate Blanchett.
Okay.
Specifically because of Hela from Thor Ragnarok. Did you ever watch that movie?
No, but I'm going to look it up now.
She plays kind of like the evil sister in that movie. And I really like her character. I think she did it well. And I think she has the right look to play Bellatrix. Like she has harsh features, you know, kind of like longer face. She is blonde, but you know, they could put a wig on her. So I think she would really, and because in Thor, she has dark hair. So I think that she plays kind of like a badass villain type of thing. So she was kind of my first pick. But honestly, the second pick, and this is kind of a stretch, but hear me out. Okay. Margot Robbie.
Oh my gosh, this is one of mine.
Really? Okay, yes. Good. Because I was like, the Harley Quinn energy. Yeah. Because I think it's like the Harley Quinn energy. Because I think she's just like a great actress. And I think that, and it's so funny to think like she's Barbie. But she could also play Bellatrix Lestrange. Like, I fully believe she would do an awesome job in that role. And I know it doesn't really fit with, like, the age and things like that, but I really think that she could play Bellatrix very, very well. Because I think she has a good way of being, like, this crazy and kind of, like, ethereal, if that's the right word, of kind of, like, she could kind of, like, zone out a little bit and then zone back in and be really harsh. Like I've seen her do that in movies. So that's why I think like she almost could be my number one as well. So I
Okay.
think Kate Blanchett with the looks, more so Margot Robbie with the personality.
Okay. Those are really good. And
Mm-hmm.
okay, so also for the listeners, so Kate Blanchett was in the like Marvel, she's in Benjamin Button, she's in Lord of the Rings, she's in Ocean's 8, like she's in a bunch of stuff. So, and
Lord
I
of the
was
Rings. Oh yeah, she's freaking Galadriel, right? In Lord of the
yeah.
Rings. Yeah,
And
yeah.
who also is like a dark witch. I mean, I know she's like
Well,
kind of
she's kind of
good,
like, yeah.
but she's like, she can be
Yeah,
scary.
she's scary because she's so ethereal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she does have that, like, I was looking at the Thor stuff and she's got, the long black hair and like dark eye makeup, and they make her look really dark, even though most movies you see her as blonde and like, light eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
So my number one was Margot Robbie, and hear me out, people. I would cast this where I would cast her and the sisters. Margot
Oh, wow.
Robbie as Bellatrix, Jamie Presley as Andromeda, and Emma Mackey I would cast as Narcissa. These three actresses are not related, but I feel like they look so similar, and I think they could play sisters really well. So the sister age order is Bellatrix, then Andromeda, then Narcissa is the youngest. Jamie Presley is technically the oldest of them. She's in her 40s, and then Margot's like 35, I think. And then Emma is, I think, 29. So, but I would actually like flip-flop the age a little bit, and I would have Jamie Presley be Andromeda and have Bellatrix be Margot, and then Emma is the youngest. But I think they look so similar. They could be sisters. These actresses, I think, have been waiting for a chance to be in like a movie together as sisters. And then my second choice for Bellatrix would be Angelina Jolie. Bellatrix, this goes more with like them saying that Bellatrix is really supposed to be really good looking. And I think Angelina could play like the haughty, kind of like entitled like role. Like she could make that believable.
It's like Maleficent.
Yeah. Like she's Maleficent. She's, you might like Mr. and Mrs. Smith or Tomb Raider. Like obviously she's a prolific actress. And, she kind of like like a lot of her roles, she has darker hair, and she has a very like, she's one of those people that has very like defined cheekbones and like facial structure that in Bellatrix post Azkaban is described as looking kind of like skull-like. And I think about like her makeup from like Maleficent. I feel like they make her face look like more skull-like, but still like beautiful. And so I think she fits like the visual description of the role. Yeah, I mean, she's a little bit older, but I think, they could make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I had one more fan casting.
Okay.
Jenna Malone, who she plays Joanna Mason in Hunger Games.
Yes, I literally almost said her. That's so funny. You're like right in line with me. I almost said her as one of mine. I chose not to because I felt like she maybe didn't fit like the prettiness of the role, but she does give off like the arrogant, like entitled kind of like look and like mean look.
Yeah, because we know that from her character in Hunger Games. Also, I don't know if you remember her in a little movie called Pride and Prejudice.
Yes, of course. Of course. I remember vividly every person. I watched that movie like every year.
Yeah. Mr. Wickham. So, yeah. So I think she could play a good like evil character, which we've seen both in different spectrums of evil, but we've seen it as she's like kind of like the mean bratty sister in Pride and Prejudice, but then she's also the like badass warrior fighter person in Hunger Games who's just inherently angry at everything. So
yes, I think that makes total sense. And also, I mean, maybe I should say this for the Narcissa episode, but if I wasn't casting Emma Mackey as Narcissa, someone who I feel like really strongly looks like Narcissa is also one of the actresses from Pride and Prejudice. I think her name's Rosamund Pike. She's one of the sisters in Pride and Prejudice. She's the one that's like with Mr. Bingley.
She's Jane.
She's Jane. Yeah, that's her name.
Oh yeah, she could be like Narcissa.
Narcissa, right? Like they describe
Mhm.
Narcissa as looking like a drowned woman, and she has like light blonde hair, and she's very fair, and all these things. And she's played like more serious roles where she has to be like sad, and like she's in like Gone Girl and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like she would be a really good Narcissa, which is so funny because we talk about Jenna Malone, and Jenna Malone already played her sister in Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, yeah. That's so interesting. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate and subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening.
Until next week, happy reading, happy listening, and may you never be captured by snatchers.